Optix Pro by Tobias Dostal and Harrius is a visual vanish of a spectator's borrowed phone where it reappears in their own hands. There has been so much hype around this, and there's been a lot of talk within the Magic community about this product. But is it too good to be true, or is it a worker? Today, we're going to find out. So stick around and let's get right into a quick performance of Optix Pro. We've got your phone. You see the phone? Watch. Yep. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, where?
Do you want me to bring it back?
Yes.
Should I bring it back?
Yes.
Well, watch. Here it is. Do you see your phone?
No.
Well, it's watch. Do you know what's happening now? You're holding your own phone.
What? This is my phone?
Check.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Stop the video.
Go ahead.
This is your phone.
What you just saw is not the full routine that is taught. That is only the vanishing phone part, the visual part. The whole routine entails you borrowing the spectator's phone, you turn on the flashlight, you give the spectator your own phone so they can record it, and you take the spectator's phone and make it completely disappear. And then, for the big kicker ending that nobody should expect, it turns out the spectator was holding their phone and recording on their phone the entire time. So that's a killer ending. And not only that, you are going to be remembered by them and you're going to be on their camera roll forever. So this is a very memorable effect. When you purchase this effect, you will receive a lot of different items. You will get your main Optix Pro gimmick, of course, and you'll receive a lot of other pieces of kit and tools that you can apply to your gimmick in order to modify your handling or setting and hide some features. You get different ways to make the phone disappear using different gimmicks and slightly different methods. You get supplies to repair parts of your gimmicks in case they were to ever wear or break. You get extras as well. And you get the tutorial. Now, what is the quality of the gimmick? The gimmicks you receive are top tier. They are very high quality and they should last you a long time. That said, keep in mind that the main gimmick you receive does use technology because you have to turn on the flashlight. Obviously, you probably could still do the vanish without the flashlight, but I believe it is very important for misdirection and also it makes the effect more impactful and visual. The other vanish modes, the tools, they're all good quality and everything should last you a long time. The crazy thing is that there are multiple different vanish settings included with this. You get Tobias's original Optix vanish handling and you'll also get Henry's new vanishes. Henry's vanishes are so much more clean, but there are some clothing restrictions if you were to use those, which we'll get into shortly. The gimmick is very small, which is nice. It can fit in the palm of your hand. Now, how is the tutorial? The tutorial is about an hour long. Henry and Tobias are both in the tutorial and they go through how to set up for Henry's handling, how to get into the effect, how to perform it, and the maintenance. Then Tobias goes through his setup, how to get into the effect with his handling, the DIY that you have to do to get into it, the one-time setup, and there are live performances as well. The tutorial overall was great. There is a lot of information and subtleties packed into it, and Henry goes through a lot of details as well as to when you can perform this in certain ways and when you want to avoid borrowing certain types of phones. So yeah, the tutorial is really good. You learn everything you need to know. It is very clear. Are there any clothing restrictions? Well, this depends on the handling you're using. For the most clean handling, where you show your hands completely empty after the vanish, there's no sleeves, nothing like that, but you do need a jacket, an open jacket. However, you still can perform Optix Pro without a jacket by doing Tobias's original Optix handling. The gimmick does come in the brand new setting by Harrius, the new one that does require an open jacket. However, if you just want to turn it into the Tobias Dostal setting, all you have to do is take some things out, add some things in, and do just a little bit of arts and crafts, which we'll get into a little later. But it's pretty simple. But is this a social media or a real life effect? This is both. For social media, the instant phone vanish will create a huge shockwave because it's so visual. They literally see the phone 1 second and the next your hands are completely empty. So that will be great for social media because it is so visual. However, it can also play huge in real life, especially because of the kicker ending. The kicker ending completely shatters the way the spectators viewed the trick, because it's like a huge plot twist. They think you're holding their phone, make it vanish. It turns out they're holding their phone. So it is such a great ending. It will get great reactions. It's good for both social media and real life. What are the angles like? I'd say the angles are about 180 degrees. Henry says he's performed this surrounded. I think you could if you had the phone closer to your body. But I probably would feel more comfortable without people on my direct sides or directly behind me. Now, here's something I want to talk about. This trick involves a move that some people think is a little bit bold, and it is. But if you execute it with confidence, most likely the spectator should not see a thing. This can be performed on cell phones of many different colors, mainly due to the fact that the gimmick has a bright light, which can kind of take heat off where they shouldn't be looking. There's also great time misdirection, and spectators will kind of forget what they're supposed to be looking at. They won't realize the difference between what they're supposed to be looking at and what they're actually looking at. The moves can seem somewhat bold to certain people, and that's okay. You want to get some practice in. You want to perform this a few times, and the more you perform it and the more you realize that this actually does work, you will get more confident and more smooth with this. And in my opinion, as long as you execute this smoothly and at a proper pace, it's unlikely the spectator should notice. Now, here's where I would not advise performing this effect. I would not advise performing this effect if the spectator has a big crack on their phone screen, because that would be very identifiable. The second you hand them your phone, they're going to notice something. One other thing that could potentially happen, that could arise during the routine, is they could get a notification or call. This rarely should happen, but I've performed this 10 or 20 times, and it happened once. Someone got a call from his mom, and that did spoil the ending for the trick. That didn't ruin the trick entirely, because we kind of laughed it off and I made the phone disappear. But I'm just warning you, it is possible. It's unlikely, it's improbable, but it is possible. But if you move at a proper pace, and if you're confident, and if you draw all the attention to your hands, it's unlikely that the spectator should ever notice the kicker ending or think and realize what the kicker ending is going to be before you do it. Now, this works on both iPhone and Android, and it is an upgrade to Optix, the original one, because it's made for newer phone models. But here's the thing, it doesn't work on all Android ones, because some Android phones now have sharp corners rather than rounded corners, which can make it very hard, if not impossible, to do Optix on. So you'll just have to check out their phone. And here's something you can do. If you're performing tricks with apps or doing tricks with their phone or calculator, you can kind of scout it out. But you don't need the perfect phone to do this. You can do this with phones of different colors, and even different brands. Even if the lens of the camera looks different to the Optix gimmick, it's unlikely the spectators should know, because if you're moving along, as I said, quickly, and if you have confidence in what you're doing and you're putting more emphasis on the trick itself, the phone, before it vanishes, is really only in play for a few seconds. The Optix gimmick is only really in play for a few seconds. So as long as you don't say, here, look, it's clearly your phone, right? It's clearly your phone. The lens is the same, the color is the same, all that. As long as you don't do that, as long as you move forward and you move through the presentation smoothly, it will not be noticed. Sorry if I rambled a little bit too much on that point. That's just something I wanted to address. That's the main thing I wanted to address, because some of my friends who are interested in Optix Pro and other people on forums were often asking about the boldness of the move and if people would notice the ending before it happened. So I just wanted to reiterate, no, most of the time people should never notice the ending before it happens. This will only ever happen if they get weird notifications or something from their friends that they recognize, or if you aren't performing this properly. So as long as you're keeping it flowing, keeping the routine at a good pace, then the spectator should never have time to even think about it. You're just asking for them to do you a favor and hold your phone and record for you. So they really shouldn't expect the ending at all. Now, there are some phones that you don't want to perform this on, as I said, such as larger phones that have a different shape than the Optix gimmick. For example, some of the newer Samsung Android phones that have sharp corners. Now, let's talk about the difficulty and practicality of this effect. This depends on the handling you're using. It's a knacky effect at first, but you should be able to learn it pretty fast. It's somewhat intermediate. The vanish itself is so easy to do, especially with the Harrius handling. If you can let go of a phone, the gimmick does the rest of the work for you as for the vanish part. There are some handlings that are slightly harder, like Tobias's handling, but nothing is too extreme. I'd say the hardest part of Optix Pro is the get ready, getting into position for the vanish. This is practical for close-up magic, whether it be walk around, banquet, table to table, any of that stuff. Is there any DIY? There is a tiny bit of DIY if you want to use Henry's handling. It'll take about 2 minutes. But if you want to change it to Tobias's handling, it will take around 5 to 8 minutes. So it's slightly more DIY. Now keep in mind, this DIY should be a one-time setup. Once you're happy with the setting of the Optix Pro gimmick, you shouldn't really have to change it. Of course, we are all very lucky because Henry included extra pieces, extra parts in case you want to keep switching back and forth and in case you lose parts. So that's great. But you should most likely stick to a setting once you find one you're happy with, whether it be Tobias's or Henry's. What is the pocket space? Again, this is dependent on the setting you're using or the handling you choose to perform. I always wear a jacket when I'm performing, and if you use the jacket handling, there is literally 0 pocket space needed. The gimmick, it is not in a pocket, it's somewhere else. So you still have all of your pockets free for your decks of cards, your Sharpies, all your gimmick tricks, and yeah. But if you use Tobias's handling, there's slightly more pocket space required. It's still close to nothing. It's not even a third of the size of a phone, but there is just a little bit more pocket space required. What is the reset like? This trick resets instantly, so you can perform this over and over again, move from table to table, and keep performing it, which is great. But eventually you'll have to charge the phone or charge the Optix gimmick because I think this should last you a very long time. I use this for I think around 30 minutes to 45 minutes straight at a close-up gig, and it did not die on me. So this should last you a lot of performances before you have to recharge it. Now, let's talk about the price. Is this worth the price? It's $99. Now, keep in mind, this is expensive, but you get everything you need to perform this effect, and it uses technology. You also get replacement pieces in case you want to change from setting to setting, or if anything's starting to wear, if the back is starting to wear, you can take it off and just add an extra bit to it. There's quite a few extra pieces, more than you need, just in case. So yeah, I think this is worth the price if you plan on performing it. If you see a spot in your repertoire and you think this is a good fit, it's worth the price. What are the pros and cons of Optix Pro? The pros are this is very visual. It's so impossible when the spectators realize that they're holding their phone, which you just vanished. It's such a great moment. Also, the updated version has multiple ways to vanish the phone, including the old handling from Tobias and the new handling from Henry. You also get so many supplies to repair anything you need to. The tutorial's good. The gimmick is great quality. And there is Type-C charging with this. So that is the most common charging available. I don't think, even though it is similar to the type of charger you'd put in a phone, I wouldn't recommend using your phone charger on this Optix gimmick because I remember hearing that in the Firefly tutorial. I don't think these devices are meant for the high-speed chargers. Also, the angles are relatively good. The plot twist at the end is insane. It'll get great reactions. Also, this is recorded on the spectator's phone, so you're a part of their memory. This is a memorable effect. It resets instantly. There's literally 0 pocket space required for the jacket setup. It's their phone, and most phones work. And as for the cons are phones with sharp corners won't work properly with the gimmick. If spectators get a notification they recognize during the trick, that can spoil it. This might eventually happen. It's not likely, but it could happen. Also, if their phone is white or a bright color, this can still be performed, but just not in all environments. Now, what percent am I giving this? I am giving Optix a 95%. I think it's a very strong effect, and it is great in many situations. It is slightly bold, and it will take practice and confidence to perform this, but as long as you're not afraid of getting caught and you're just moving through, then the spectator shouldn't think anything of it. Because if you're afraid that you're going to get caught, spectators will sense that you're afraid of something. They won't know what it is, but they'll know you're afraid, and they'll be on their guard. So that's all I have to say about Optix Pro. I really hope you enjoyed this review. I hope it helps you make a decision on whether or not to purchase this effect. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.